I'm so excited to talk to you, Jamie. It is just always so much fun. I don't know. I always get so much energy from being in the same room with you. Just before we recorded this session, talking about how we met, I've been actually one of your students in a program. And then I'm so grateful still for that. We met in New York and you messaged me one day. You were like, you want to come for a walk in Central Park? And it's so funny because that walk, I will never forget it. It was like a movie. It was so beautiful with a beautiful group of people, and I feel since then we've really like already before that, but we've just connected on this really deep level, and I'm really grateful that you wanna be here today and share your magic with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Relinda. Yes. I think it was our walk and talk. Our walk and talk in Central
Yeah.
Park. What I think there were 10 of us or so. And you're right. It was absolutely beautiful. It was just magical human beings coming together, sharing on a very deep level. And it was fun because I think that was really the first opportunity where I was able to experience you, not just as a student or as an entrepreneur, but just as another woman that wanted to do beautiful things in the world and serve in a big way. So yeah, it was gorgeous that day.
Yes, yes, so nice. Also, that moment, what I remember was a moment where you started to transition into stepping more into offering your own thing and starting your own brand and just to dive right
Yeah.
in. Do you want to share a little bit because you've done so many things and such big things on what you are, where you are right now? Like, what is going on for you?
Oh boy, that is a big question and tough to do in a podcast. Thanks. She's diving right in, everyone. Yes, she is.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So yes, after 20 years, so basically did the traditional academic life, bachelor's degree to expedited master's degree to right into corporate life. And a little over 6 years ago now came into this beautiful online world. And what people I would say really know me for is sales guidance and being their sales coach, but also really recruiting and training sales teams that are known for their super high conversion. And so, what Rolinda's asking me here, everyone, is yes. So, I have spent the last 20 plus years of my life being the infamous right hand person behind the scenes to an amazing corporate life and also amazing entrepreneurs. And what I did this past year, which is something that now I feel a huge sense of ease with, but felt very scary, and I'm sure for most of you as well, is I finally chose to take that leap. And what that leap was for me is I chose to stop being that right hand and really step out into the spotlight and finally do my own thing. Which I'll be honest, there was times where it's scary and frightening, and what am I thinking? But now that freedom, the flexibility, the autonomy, it's beautiful. I feel energized. I feel I'm really stepping into the thing that I had truthfully been called to do for years and years that I was like, ignoring. We know that nudge when we continue ignoring that nudge and it keeps nudging us. So the beautiful thing is now I'm able to serve amazing human beings when it comes to sales support in a much bigger way. So, yeah, although it's scary, there is nothing better in my life than taking that leap. And every single time that leap has paid me in tenfold, not just financially, but energetically. And at this point in my life, energetic alignment is definitely more important than anything else.
I love that. That is beautiful. You said that nudge. Was it like a nudge, like, okay, step out? What was the nudge that you were feeling
Oh,
that you were ignoring?
well, so I'm going to be so vulnerable here because here's the thing with this nudge. We all know this nudge, right? So this nudge starts with, for me, I'm a extremely intuitive and logical person, right? So you know it like mentally, like you're doing all these things, but you play these mathematical games with your head. Oh, 60-40. The 40 is not so bad when the 60 is there, right? So you get it like mentally and logically intuitively, like you just have this feeling. And I'm going to be super honest about like my nudge here because the truth is the nudges with my body, the nudges with my mind, the nudges with my heart. When you actually get that quiet time and you tune in, the truth is because I am what I consider a very strong individual, I kept ignoring those nudges. So I'm going to be super vulnerable here because this is important and why we should not ignore those nudges. It's okay for a little bit of time if you want to do your due diligence, but I ignored the nudge to a point where I was actually getting sick, to a point where the more I became aligned and knowing what I wanted, mentally, physically, spiritually. The thing is, no matter how much I could mentally power through, no matter how strong I could show up and be, my body was actually getting physically ill. I could no longer do it. It was almost like God, the universe, whoever it is that you believe in, or all of the above, science. The thing is, it was showing me, saying, Jamie, if you don't do this, we're going to keep showing up and making this very difficult for you. And honestly, things have to be that way for me a little bit because I am loyal to a fault. It had to feel a little intense. So the truth is that nudge showed up in an extremely intense way with me physically, where I knew it was time for me to make a life decision. And I will say it, the second I did it, oh my goodness, I knew I should have done it sooner. But the truth is, I love serving and I just had to figure out how to serve in a different way. And I also had to do some healing. But with that now, the joy that I'm feeling, the lightness that I'm feeling, how energized I am, oh, I wish I wouldn't have ignored that earlier on nudge, but I want to be truthful here because I think a lot of us do this.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Actually, that is such a bit like when you think, okay, I have to do it this way, you set the 60-40 thingy,
Yeah.
and then you push through,
Yeah.
ignoring certain signs of your body, of everything, and you actually didn't feel good. And just before, also before we started this recording, you said things are coming my way right now. Like I
Yeah.
took the time. So your like way into ease was maybe to take the time and embrace the healing and the not knowing for a while. Was that it?
Oh, that's definitely it. I remember when I actually walked away last year on May 4th. I can remember this. And I told myself mentally, okay, by June, I'm going to start taking clients. And I would say it's funny because I have a very abundant mindset. And I would say for a moment, it wasn't as probably in a place of fear. And I remember reaching out to a few entrepreneurs that were all much bigger than the person I was actually representing. And all I wanted somebody to be able is like, that's okay, Jamie. Things are going to be fine. And instead, they were like, can you quickly connect? And they were willing to create and throw job opportunities my way. And it really put me into this overwhelm. I was like, "Oh, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted somebody to say it was going to be okay." And what's interesting about that is coming out of that situation, I said, "You're going to take a breather for a week, month, excuse me, and then by June, you're going to start taking on clients." And that's not what happened at all. The truth is, as I started having conversations with people, what I didn't anticipate is that I needed to heal some areas of my life. The truth is, I had been full steam ahead from a very young age, winning all kinds of like sales awards, training excellent sales teams, one accolade to the next accolade. And I loved the Atta Girls, right? And I actually did not know that I needed time. So I literally just opened up and I was like, what is it that I need? And I trusted the process. And I took that time to heal. I took that time to collect my thoughts. I took that time to ask myself, how is it that I want to show up in this world? What is it that I'm trying to really do as far as like making an impact, not just driving somebody's bottom line? So, really, for me, woo, it was really, what do I want to say here? I want to say just being open and trusting in God and the universe and knowing that it was going to all flow my way. Because the truth is, it always had. And that's exactly what happened. It's like the second I started making hard decisions, the right opportunities continuously did and continue to flow my way.
That is amazing. Yeah, the moment you dared to step away from
Yes.
something which wasn't serving you anymore, which and then it just started happening and you gave
Yeah.
yourself time to heal. Hey, and you said you were also taking that time finding out what is it that I really want to do? What do I want to serve? I know you're like
Yes.
amazing at sales and all these things, but can you tell me like what is it that really drives you in what you do?
I love that. Thank you for asking. You can see this on my website, jamiegulinodavis.com. It is my number one company value. I talk about them all the time. If you look on any social media, you will see them. My number one is and always will be my children. Not just my children, meaning my son and daughter. Yes, I love and adore them, but it's how I'm showing up for these little human beings. It's how I'm showing up for the future of our world. And it's really modeling the way and choosing to do things. The thing is, I truly believe that money flows. Money has always flown my way. I have earned multiple like six figures, I think since like my young 20s, honestly. And money always finds its way to me, but And the thing is, I've never looked for money. I've never made money my goal. I'm always like, how can I serve and how can I serve in a beautiful way or help somebody change their life? See the bigger picture. And that's how for me, so that's the thing that drives me. It's like modeling the way for my children, however they choose to show up in their life, but to do it in a way that's serving and absolutely beautiful and feels aligned.
Wow, that is amazing. And by the way, like I talk with my people about beliefs a whole lot. And also I see that when you, for example, have that belief, just something that comes natural for you, like you said, I had money come my way since my early 20s, and you have that belief, money always comes my way. It finds
Yeah.
way. I don't have to focus on it. What do you see in working with entrepreneurs or coaches and experts that what kind of beliefs do they have around money and sales that make it sometimes really hard for them to let money come their way?
Oh, I'm so glad you said hard for them because while you were asking me the question, Rolinda, I was like, oh, it's quite the opposite for most of them. And it makes me so sad. What I will say is, oh, so many, I will say it, I see it in the entrepreneurial world. I see it also in the corporate world as well. Unfortunately, there's this belief that earning money or money flowing someone's way is difficult. When it comes to sales, oh my goodness, this is the number one thing that breaks my heart. For whatever reason, there is this uncomfortable connotation connected with sales. Like sales is, you hear it like ugly, sleazy, like one liner. You hear the old school people refer to it as bro marketing and stuff. And it is everything against what I believe and teach. I actually teach that the through line for sales is actually all about communication and relationships, which I know you talk a lot about personal development. And those are two huge things when it comes to personal development. And I really, I really want people to see that money and sales, it's really all about connection. It's beautiful. It's literally just an exchange for providing a gorgeous service. I tell people all the time when I think about my corporate life, I had a great corporate life. I was very established, top percentage in the industry that I was in, number one at the company that I was at, in units sold and dollar volume and beautiful leadership positions. And the thing is, when I wanted to walk away, it was easy for people to think that, oh, she's in the boys' club. Oh, she's in the corporate world. Oh, she's in the 9 to 5. But the truth is, it actually took a beautiful sales conversation that changed my whole life. I was actually looking for someone else, and I had this gorgeous conversation with an online coach in the personal development space. And she basically asked me essentially if I was showing up as the mother I wanted to be, if I was showing up as the wife I wanted to be. And the truth is, I wasn't. The truth is, I was the one buying the presents and sending my husband and children off to all of the family gatherings and parties. And I had to have this conversation with myself, like with all the money flying at me, the fame flying at me, the benefits, the investment match, like you name it. Is this actually the life that I want? Like, why am I actually doing this? So that beautiful conversation, which felt very difficult in that moment. Okay. I was teary eyed. I was like, whoa, did they really ask me that? Wow. The truth is that sales conversation changed my life. And now I get to help and serve in a bigger way and change so many other lives because of that one conversation. It was
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I love it. And I think this is also really something I learned from you.
Oh boy.
This is really something I learned from you in all the lessons, like around sales. First of all, because how you are, you show up like in this conversation, super honest, super you,
Mhm.
and then super skilled at sales. And for me, being really like authentic and yourself and vulnerable and selling, I couldn't put all of that in one package. I remember a very embarrassing moment. All of
Oh
a
no.
sudden, I
Oh
know
no.
of me that I feel to share, but I think in the course that you were teaching in, you asked us to record a
I
conversation, a sales
remember
conversation.
this.
The
Yeah.
and I did, but my problem was the moment because I never recorded my sales conversations. I'd been doing them already and selling, but I never recorded them. And I recorded it, and I think I was in a space of, "Where's the script? I should do this." So it was horrific.
It was not horrific. Okay, if you're listening right now, it was not horrific. I actually recall this moment, and She's catching her breath, and that was very vulnerable for you to share. It's not horrific if you're listening. It is one of the things I ask people to do. It's the truth. I ask to record sales conversations because often people will come to me and think they have a lead problem. They will say, I don't understand why I'm not converting. The right people are not getting in front of me. The sales conversation, it's very psychological, and it is very important that not necessarily to have a script, but understand different components of a script or a series of questions that we should ask just to emotionally make sure that we're holding the proper space and to make sure that we're connecting with is comfortable. The whole no trust is there and they're willing to open up. Now, I'll say this, Rolinda. Now, there must have been 20 something people in the room. She was the only one that was willing to be vulnerable and share a recorded conversation. And I will say this because I know where she's going with this. I was tough on her. Okay. She was an absolute goddess. Okay. And I think maybe you felt, did you feel a little embarrassed or something?
Felt very embarrassed, but honestly, not to the point that it was the best
It was
lesson
amazing.
that I ever had. Like,
Yeah.
I think at one point I asked you to stop because I did feel embarrassed, honestly, because what I saw on the screen was that I wasn't listening. And it became so clear watching it with you and you giving the feedback. I was like, oh my gosh, this woman was giving me her stories and she was giving me her pain and her sadness. And I was asking the next question in the script. I didn't even listen. And that made me feel embarrassed because I'm like, where was I with my mind? What was I doing? The one thing that even just on a human level, I would want to do, not even with the objective to sell, which is also then the byproduct of it, but is to make this person feel heard and actually seen. And I felt in that way ashamed or just shocked because I really didn't notice it. I think during the conversation that I wasn't present with the
Mhm.
person. Yeah.
I'm so happy you shared that. And you know what? I'm going to talk about this in a second, but remind me, Rolinda, I'm actually going to share with your community. I've done this training that actually highlights three of the important parts of a sales conversation. And it talks about sales versus serving, things like that. If it's okay, I would love to share that with your community because
Yeah.
exactly what you experienced there is exactly what I teach in this training. So I'll give you the link and you can share that with your community. But I want to talk about this for a second because the thing is, when it comes to recording conversations and listening back, first of all, you were so brave and such a goddess for doing that. And the thing is, not only did it help you, it helped everybody in that room. The thing is, when we listen to sales conversations, there's lots of aha moments and opportunities to learn and grow. And the same thing happens. I will tell you when companies bring me in, because entrepreneurs, once we scale, what will happen is they'll often create sales teams, right? And or think, oh, we have people that will take the sales calls. We'll no longer have them or have time for them, honestly. And then what will happen is they'll say, Jamie, we don't know what's happening. They're not converting. And I was like, when was the last time you listened to one of your sales professionals' calls? They say, oh no, we haven't. And I'll quickly listen to a few for them. And I'll say, okay, here's the opportunities I think there are for growth. So the thing is, when we're listening to and critiquing sales conversations, it's not to critique or tear apart someone's work, okay? It's to say, hey, here's the opportunities or here's what may have missed when it comes to serving. Because the thing is, if a beautiful human being is getting on call with you in the first place, the truth is they're looking for help. They want to feel heard, they want to feel understood. They're happy if they truly feel like you understand their pain. Whatever that solution you're going to provide them with, they're going to find every which way they can to purchase it, to buy it. And the thing is, though, no matter how good the offer, no matter how accessible the investment, if they don't feel heard and understood, like you really truly understand their pain, think about it, me, right? Oh, yes, 9 to 5. Yes, corporate. Yes, boys club. None of it bothered me, though. When somebody was like, are you showing up as the best mom that you could be showing up as? I was like, it took
Mhm.
active listening for somebody to really get me. And then not just active listening, I probably got choked up. Instead of wanting to quickly put that Band-Aid on it and fix it, to let me have the space to get choked up a little bit too. So that active listening is so important. Oh, Linda, you were so brave for sharing that story. I'm
No,
so
but
proud of you. That's going to help so many people listening.
oh, thank you. No, I really feel it's important to share it because it was a wake up call moment. And it really made me throw away the script in a sense. Also, I had done and practice, and I by now knew what the whole thing was about. and to always just take a minute before I go on a call and be present and just be connecting and
Yes.
listening rather than being busy with, am I doing it right? About me, basically. Am I going to make the sale? Am I going to do these
It's about
things?
them. That's right.
It's about them.
It's
Yeah.
about them, and it's so beautiful, and you have the opportunity. Sales is really a gorgeous opportunity to change someone's life. Whether you're
Mm.
selling a product, whether you are selling a service, and I will say this about sales, because some people will I will say it's so interesting sometimes when I teach these, like, workshops and sales trainings, I'll say, one of the first questions, "How many of you are actively having sales conversation?" I'll ask for a raise of hands. You get 3 people raise their hand. I'll say, "Okay, how many of you are speaking to clients, doing social posts, hosting webinars or workshops, handling podcasts?" And I'll list off like these 10 to 12 things. And I'll say, okay, raise your hand. 9 or 10 people out of 10 will raise their hands. Like you're all having sales conversations. The thing is, when it comes to the sales conversation, the truth is the majority of the time we are all in sales conversations. It
Yeah.
is always about relationship building. It is always about communication. More now than ever before in the past, more touch points are needed when it comes to people purchasing, moving forward with your service. So we just have to make sure that we are doing an excellent job doing this and showing up for people in a way that is very serving and beautiful. And I truly believe when we do that and we have the right processes and systems in place, you're going to see your conversions really skyrocket.
Yeah, and I love that you just said that really quickly, but like often people think they have a leads problem, but actually they maybe have a sales
Sales
problem.
problem. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is really big. And also what you said, not only in the sales calls, but even in the pitches and in your
Yeah, in your social posts, in your like everything from your call to action, like how are we showing up? If you're like speaking like on stage on somebody's like podcast, like in a summit, the thing like in your email sequences that are going out, it's we're always having sales conversations. If you're at a networking mixer, and by sales conversations, I don't mean pitch yourself. You don't want to be that person. Okay. Yeah. But beautiful exchanges where we are truly actively listening and we're really leading them to that place that's ultimately going to provide a solution for them.
yeah, beautiful. What is it that you think makes the biggest shift? If you think of the coaches and the experts, the people that really want to help, we're like more focused on serving, helping, making an impact, and maybe have these uncomfortable feelings around sales, receiving money, maybe also premium sales, higher end sales, bigger and
Mm.
higher end coaching packages. What makes the biggest shift what you have seen in the industry in someone? When can they feel more in alignment with it or not have those?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing question. And I think this is where both of us probably help people a lot. And I think a lot of that is when it comes to personal development, like two things I really want to think about is emotional intelligence and that growth mindset. And that's really emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is really having that capacity for everything going on and really that empathy towards people and things going on in a deeper level of understanding with stuff. And that growth mindset is it is so easy, especially in this online world to quickly fall into that place of scarcity or lack, if you will. Because you see it, we see this online space and how busy it is, and the number of emails that come out from entrepreneurs and social posts and all of the things. And it sounds so silly. And sometimes I have to remind myself too, because the truth is, when it comes to social posts, I do this whole thing too, where sometimes I'm on the ball for a week and then I check out for a week and I'm like, oh, I'm quite the private person. But then I think about my corporate career and I'm like, wait a minute, like why was I so successful in my corporate career? Because I was always hosting functions and gatherings and networking and getting involved in group. So why would I think that it would be any different like online? It's going back to basics with those tools, especially like online when people do this whole comparison game. I really would love for everybody to stay in that growth mindset and really think abundance. And by abundance, I'm not necessarily meaning, I know some people are really into manifestation, and I understand and believe in that to a point, but I really mean, what are my goals and what are the things that I need to put in place to hit my goals? And what is that consistent action that I need to take to reach those things that are put in place to reach my goals?
Yeah, wow, beautiful.
Yeah.
What are the actions that I'm going to take? And you said that abundance, right? Because I think one of the things with sales, if I take quote unquote money from this person,
Mm.
it's taking and they won't have it. And it's no, money isn't finite. it is what you said, it's just moving around the world all the time. It is just
Yes.
going through you and then to something else. It is energy literally flowing around all the time, and you
Like
can tap
we
into
we
that.
do this, right, for our vehicle, for our home, maybe, like, for things we purchase that are in our home. It's money flows, it's supposed to go out and it's supposed to come in, and honestly, I sometimes I giggle. I wanna be careful because 'cause I'm ridiculously thankful, but every single time, even if there's something I feel so aligned at this point, even if there's something that I've been wanting to say no to, but I've been holding off, or because 'cause I'm trying to be, like, kind, or I have to say no in a very thoughtful way, I'm telling you, it's almost, like, comical. The second I'm making a tough decision, the second I'm like, "You know what? I've been meaning to reach out. Thank you so much for asking me this. But the truth is, it just doesn't feel aligned, so I'm going to have to turn it down at this point." The second I do that, literally, I will have an email in my inbox or I'll have a Voxer on my cell phone basically saying, "Hey, Jamie, I was reaching out. I really need support around this." I really believe for me, I've gotten so in flow where when I'm saying things, saying no to the things that just I may want to do, but aren't necessarily energetically aligned or they just don't make sense at this time, I'm almost instantly rewarded. And that's how flow I feel. And so when it comes to money and sales and serving, that's what I just think it's an absolutely beautiful flow. What you choose to do with that money too. Also, this sounds so silly and this is really personal, but I love feeding people. So some of the things we do is we have an oversized garden. I'll have to post some pictures and share. And we grow so much produce. And it is my goal to share like produce with a certain number of families. Like last year, we served produce on vegetables with over 40 families. This year, my goal is 50, and we're so close. So, yes. So it's like figure out what, and it is. I'm not one to go out and buy super high end or designer things. I don't mind if people do, it's not for me. But with that money that flows my way, one of the things that's really important to me is giving people fresh vegetables and fruit and stuff. I love a huge garden. So a lot of money goes into that.
Wow, amazing. Just that generosity that flows from you and energy and
Yeah.
food and
Taking
and
care of
help people.
yeah.
That's just so inspiring. I love it. I love it. I love it. Um,
Aw.
is there anything else you want to share? You talked about your free training. I definitely am going to share the link. That is
Yes.
really excited. I'm so grateful you want to share that. You've taught my students in my community and they are still talking about it. So definitely get your hands on this. Anything else that you would want to share, what we can find there around your framework? I'd love to
Yes.
know.
Oh my goodness, please. So the beautiful thing with my handles, Jamie Gulino Davis, across the board, whether it is my website, Instagram, or LinkedIn, you will see my framework. I've kept it super simple. It's literally the acronym sales. Who doesn't love a good acronym? But what I do is I break down sales in a way that it just feels beautiful and easy. That's how sales should feel. And really, what we do is we talk about strategy, we talk about authenticity, leaderships, energetics, and systems. And I really have created so many amazing resources. I've created these bite-sized like training modules. I'm live with people. But what I've actually done is I've taken a piece of that framework. So people are always like, Jamie, how do you get your sales teams to 70% plus conversions? I use the same framework for training these sales teams. So I've taken a piece of the framework, I put it inside a free training. So when you go to jamiegulinodavis.com, you'll see the free training right at the top menu bar. And I did a quick recording. It's 15 minutes. Dive in because these three components, again, whether you are utilizing them on a sales conversation or whether you are outlining a workshop or webinar, you can put these anywhere and they're going to make sales feel so much easier and super beautiful. And here's a little tip for those of you that are a little uncomfortable or somewhat uncomfortable or completely uncomfortable with talking about the investment during your sales conversations or when you're putting an offer on there out there, if you're that person where it's okay, we just had a great conversation, I'm going to email you all the details. Don't do it. In this training, I've actually taught a little secret inside how upfront in your conversation, when you're framing the conversation or when you're on stage or virtual stage, how you can do this like upfront. So the person you're in conversation with is actually waiting for it. So you don't have to have fear around it. And that's all in the free training. So take advantage. And the one thing I would love to leave you with is, you can do sales in a standout way that feels absolutely beautiful and aligned and feel like you are serving. This is not transactional, nor should it ever feel transactional.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to download it. I'm going to dive in. I'm
Yay!
really looking forward to that Jamie Magic. I'm totally recommending you all do it. This is really golden, and follow Jamie on Instagram and everywhere. It's so amazing. Thank you so much. One last question that I want to ask everybody who comes on this podcast. When you feel you're just not in that ease mode, that everything is hard and you're pushing and you're like, what is your number one go to way for you to get back to ease?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for asking that. And being a person that professionally love to power through everything, I had to really, really learn how to do this. For me, activity is everything. And it sounds, it's interesting. It sounds like counterproductive when we're talking about ease. But I always say for me, activity breeds productivity. And productivity means not just physically doing stuff, but clarity in my mind as well. So for me, getting back to my place of ease is being active, whether that means I love meditation and taking time for gratitude within it. I actually also love yoga practice. I love beautiful walks where we live. We're on 6 acres here. There's like woods all around me. So it's really important for me to just be within nature, enjoy the garden, the grass, the trees. It's always that natural way of getting back to like beauty and getting grounded. That's really what brings me ease and joy, and then really makes me feel like I have what I need to get back to that place of just clarity and productivity. But yeah, that's a beautiful question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for answering it. I love it. And you actually answered it in many ways already in this conversation. I feel this is one of those conversations that anybody who's been listening, listen to it 3 times because someone has been sad. Jamie, you're a gem. Thank you so much for sharing your magic and all your knowledge. And I'm sending lots of love and hugs all the way to
Hey,
you. Thank you.
thank you so much. This was such a joy.